Is there still a BKFC pension? You don't have to answer that.
I can't give you an honest answer on that.
Again, that's not a bat. That's not a
No,
picking on BKFC.
no,
I just
no,
haven't heard like.
that
Remember
is
when it first came out and it was this big
yes,
deal,
it
right?
was huge. It's great. They were going to take a portion of our percentage of every purse from every fight, and they're going to put it in a pension fund for the fighters. That was a beautiful idea that Feldman had, and it was a wonderful, in my opinion, publicity stunt to get people to get eyes on the company and things like that. And
Is there a breakdown somewhere? Like, do you get a? I guess
I've asked multiple times what my pension plan looks like. I've asked multiple times to have a breakdown of how much money has been put into my pension. I've asked multiple times uh, just what it is, what's involved with it, how it's set up, and what works. Like what percentage from the fight. I don't even need a breakdown. I can do the breakdown myself. Tell me what percentage from each fight.
and nobody knows.
It's not that nobody knows. It's just that nobody ever gives me a response. It's not an I don't know. It's not an I'll get back to you. It's not an let me look into
Isn't
that.
that odd?
It's just a blatant. I don't think it's odd. I think it's pretty fucking standard considering the
To
experience
not give
with
you
a
an
lot of
answer. So like to have a percentage of your purse being put away. So for instance, like I have a 401k, right?
mm-hmm.
I can log into my account at any fucking minute and I can see where my money is allocated. I can see how much money's taken out week by week, month by month, how much I have in there, how much I've lost, how much I've gained, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Oh, no, I get it. Like I said, I fully understand it.
You don't think it's weird?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Well, I'm just like I said, I'm just a dude trying to figure things out because
ask away, brother. I'll give you all the answers that I can. I'm just trying to do my best to save a little bit of face while still expressing frustration.
100%. And like I said, and maybe we can get some further answers on this down the road. I just happen to want to bring that up since we were kind of in that realm of fighter.
Yeah, no, we're in that realm of conversation. Right? And I completely agree with you that it's fucking peculiar that it was a big advertising boost or spiel for them to be like, hey, we're doing this, we're doing that, and we're going to take care of our guys, yada, yada, yada. Dave Feldman used to be a professional fighter, so he gets it. He understands the problems and the situations that fighters have to go through. So we're going to set these guys up with retirement, pension, blah, blah, blah. It's like, cool, great, sweet, fantastic, love it, wonderful. Show me.
Crickets.
Give me some information on it. Like, outside of just saying it, show me some proof, and again, I don't think it's weird. I think that it was a business decision for publicity, and if it pans out and it works out, awesome. If it doesn't, well,
but that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. Like
anyway, so.
The lack of response about like I'm not saying, and I guess too. Let me kind of rephrase this. I'm not saying that it has to be public information because it's none of my business.
No,
right.
Yeah,
like it's none of my business how much Tom Shoaff has.
Right.
But the fact that you don't know, you don't know how much you have is fucking weird to me.
Like you said, you got a 401k. You can log in anytime you want, see what's in there. Ask any police officer, ask any firefighter, ask any military person, ask anybody who has a pension of any kind. Are you allowed to check into that? Are you allowed to look at that and see, how it's maneuvered, what's going in there, what's being taken out, what the taxes, what the process is, the interest, all that? Like, are you allowed to check that out? And I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. It's time I went. But when I do it, when I'm like, hey, what's going on with the pension? What's going on with this? What's going on with that? Like I said, it's not even that I get a push off response. It's just no response, just a complete lack of response. And for me, that tells me that it's not there. That tells me that it's non-existent. That tells me that it was something that was said to get eyes and notoriety and views, because that's something that we don't do in the sport. We already talked about it. Like, we don't even have fucking insurance throughout the year for or the companies that we're contracted with. And you really think these guys are going to pay our fucking pension and retirement? No. Like, that's silly. That's silly talk. I get why they did it. I get that it got eyes to their company and their organization, but the reality of the situation, as far as I know, and as far as all of the fighters that I know who've been with this company, we have not seen a single dime, receipt, fax, email, transcribe, anything on the pension. And that we can even take that one step further to, here I go, just bashing the company again. We're supposed to be getting paid. We're supposed to be getting commission for the BKFC app. They were supposed to be paying a dollar per person or some shit like that you got signed up, and that would stay. And every month they stayed subscribed, you got paid that dollar in perpetuity. So if they stayed subscribed, if you had 50 people who stayed subscribed for 10 months, you got $50 a month for those 10 months. That was something that they pushed to get us to promote and pump their app and get people to funnel money in and so on and so forth. And I saw one fucking check from that fucking thing. And it was the fucking day they started it. They're like, hey, here's your incentive check to go push this fucking app and get people to sign up. And we did it. We pushed it. And everybody's got their little referral code and all that other shit. But we haven't seen a dime from that money. All that money that's been coming in. Those,
I will say this. I will jump in on that.
I haven't seen a fucking dime.
I'll just say I did see a check from that. I'm just saying.
One?
Just one.
Okay, so you saw one check, just like I saw one check.
Well, but it wasn't.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
What they say is we'll give you $1 per subscription that stays subscribed for as long as they stay subscribed. So
well, yeah. I don't remember the exact breakdown, but yes, it's.
I do. So again, you got one check.
Okay.
And if memory serves me correctly, it was prior to them giving you all of this information. It was like an incentivized check, like, hey, here's $100. Start pumping this app. And then you did it. And then apparently all the 100 subscribers canceled. And you got 0 new subscribers every month after that. And nobody's used the referral code. Now, either every single person I know downloads the app the night of the fight and then deletes it the next day, or we're just not getting checks, which is no different than the pension plan.
Which the former is pretty unrealistic.
Agreed. Like, I don't even fucking watch the bare knuckle fights. I still have the app on my phone. I still pay every month for it.
I have been subscribed since it came out.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. So I should at least be getting $1 a month because I use my own promo code.
Just from yourself.
Like, I should at least get $1 a month. Tell me I'm wrong.
That's a good point.
But I'm not. My girlfriend's got it. I don't get $1 for her.
That's $2.
Everybody in my family has used my promo code. I don't get money from them. And that's my point. Like, that's what the fuck I'm talking about. And now the boost is starting to get wrangled up. But
worst case scenario, you should at least have enough to cover. It should at least be enough to cover your monthly subscription. 100%. Is what you're saying. At
100%. I should have at least $4, $5 hit my account every month to cover the $5.99 that you guys take. Wholeheartedly. But no, that's not the case. So again, to get back to the pension thing, was it a publicity thing? Maybe. Was it, a good idea?
You can't just say stuff like that and then not follow through.
But you can't. and that's the thing. That's the scenario and situation that we're getting ourselves
Or
in, is with so much of this, with so much content and so much shit out there. I could make a post. We could post this video right now, and I could say some outlandish shit. And we make 3 more videos where I say even slightly less outlandish shit, and everybody forgets about the first thing that I said. It's because there's so much content out there. There's so much shit being thrown in your face.
yeah, but I at least okay, okay, and I hear you. I hear you. But I think in terms of the so I would probably say it's probably safe to say Facebook, most of the, especially when BKFC first started, right, and even to a degree it still does, most of us that are on there are, a lot of us have been around the scene for a long time since it started. Like there's a lot of I think just about all of us are on Facebook, or a good majority of us, right? And I'm talking everybody. I'm talking like referees, announcers, commentators, fighters, people who cover it. Like everybody, like the circle isn't that big.
Right.
I would bet dollars to fucking donuts, which I would love some donuts right now. I bet dollars to fucking donuts that none of the fighters have forgotten that. None of the media people have forgotten that. None of the referees have forgotten that. None of the fighters' family members have forgotten that. Right?
Right. That's the thing. It's like as a fighter,
is there not enough pushback? My concern is that there's a lot of stuff I'm going to pick on, like Ariel Helwani, right? Like there's a lot of stuff he does I don't necessarily agree with, but I think he gives appropriate pushback. Sometimes you have to give a little pushback. You can't just be like, oh yeah, everything is so great 100% of the time. That's not fucking realistic. That's not, it doesn't mean you don't like the product. It doesn't mean you don't like the company. It doesn't mean you don't like, so like, it's just, it's healthy criticism. And like to me, in my opinion, my humble opinion, I think that maybe there's not enough healthy pushback on something like that to say, get Dave on a show. Dave, is there an update on the fighter pension thing? We haven't heard anything from it. Is there an update?
That's a great question, man. And I think that's probably exactly what it is. Is
it our fault as,
Oh yeah.
Did we not push back enough on it?
We're complacent. I won't say that we're not. I'm a victim. I definitely won't say that in any way, shape, or form. But I think that's why he's been able to get away with it. On top of the fact that so much content is just being dumped into people's faces on a daily basis. They don't remember shit that was brought up 6 months ago. But on top of that, because of all of that content and all of that information and the lack of pushback from fighters, like I said, outside of myself, I'm the only fighter that I know that has asked about it or that has inquired about it. And like, yo, what's going on with this? What's the situation? What's the scenario? As far as I know, I'm the only one that has actually done that. I think if he had more people pushing and more people explaining and stressing their dissatisfaction with the scenario that's being played out in front of him, that he wouldn't be able to, you wouldn't be able to get away with the things that you're doing. I'll go off on a little side tangent here, but I'll bring it back and I'll make it make sense. In society nowadays, we have a lot of these like safe places, and you can't say this or you can't do this, or people,
I feel safe here, Tom Shoaff.
Yeah. But people will cancel you, and like you're not allowed to speak this way, you're not allowed to cuss, you're not allowed to do these certain things,
right?
And like now it's like a social norm where you do not allow people to speak on things, where in the past it was No, you let people say what they wanted to say, and if they were a fucking asshole, you just didn't talk to that guy, or you let everybody else know, like, hey, that guy's an asshole, you might want to be wary of him. You didn't
Right.
restrict him from saying the things that he wanted to say or felt entitled to say
Right.
for the safety of everybody else. You let him say what needed to be said, and then you judged that person on what came out of their fucking mouth. And if it was something you agreed with, you'd be friends with them. If something you didn't agree with, you'd stay away from them. Well, now we're in a situation with, Dave, where it's like he can say these things and nobody's calling him out on it because they feel inappropriate or they feel like they don't want to disrupt the social norm or whatever. But it's no different. This is a very bad analogy. So Dave, I'm sorry for equating you to a racist, but I'm not saying you're racist. This is what I'm saying. Is you can have a racist guy and you can say you can't be racist, and then everybody that he's hanging out with doesn't know he's a racist piece of shit. Or you could say you can do and say whatever you want to say, and then everybody around him knows that he's a piece of shit, and then they avoid him. Well, the scenario with Dave is nobody's calling him out on his bullshit. I'm not saying that you're anything. What I'm saying is you've made a habit of saying things that nobody calls you out on and nobody forces you to present facts or truth behind. So you're able to just get away with saying this stuff. And it's the exact opposite of that scenario.
Why do you think that is, Tom? Like, why do you think that is to divulge it? Like, because I have seen it firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
There is like a walking on eggshells type feeling, right? Like,
yeah. Well, this takes
why is that? Is that something? Is that something that is specific to Dave? Maybe because of how he represents himself. Is it?
No. That's what I was talking about with the Francis Ngannou thing. It's like this is how companies run. This is how businesses are managed and operate. Is they are going to put forth the least amount of effort and the least amount of dollars to get the largest return back. So for Francis to be like, look, I want better, like you guys are making boatloads of money and we've got fighters on your card that don't have insurance. I'm bringing this into public light. I'm letting the world know that as a champion, I think that this is unacceptable and this is uncalled for. And I'm willing to step to the side and not fight anymore because I stand for this. He's making that known. All the fighters know it. All everybody who's in the know knows that's the situation scenario.
Sure.
But the public doesn't know it, and the public doesn't know that there are other fighters standing up for it. So with Dave, I feel like that's just the way that it is. If they're gonna spend like if you're gonna agree to fight for $5,000, why would I pay you $10,000 and your insurance for it? That's a stupid business decision. I'm not gonna do it. So for Dave, he's in a position, or for any business owner who doesn't have a mouthy enough employee, they're in a position where they can take advantage for the sake of finances. And with Dave, I don't think that he's intentionally taking advantage of people. Like, I don't think he wakes up in the morning and thinks, how am I going to fuck Tom out of his money today? Or how am I going to get this guy to fight for less money? Or how am I going to do this? But I definitely think he wakes up with a business mentality of how am I going to profit as much as possible today. And that's how businesses run, and that's why he's able to get away with these things, is because you've got guys like me, or guys who are even way further down the line than me, who need that money, who need that fight. And if you say, no, I'm not going to pay your insurance, but that also means I'm not going to get that $1,000, that $2,000, well, fuck it. I'll get the $2,000 and I'll just fucking figure out insurance if it happens. When you're in a position of power, you can force people to walk on those eggshells because they have to, because you're the one writing the checks. You're like, and once you realize that you're a commodity, it forces how you take stance on your position. I realized I was a fucking commodity in this business a long time ago, and I don't want to be a cheap commodity. I want to be a hot commodity. So if I'm going to be a commodity, damn it, you're going to pay for my privilege. You're going to pay for my property, my prowess, and everything that I'm bringing to the table.
So in your eyes, just to kind of, in your eyes, you're not saying like you don't think it's something like, I guess let's just say it's not like a malicious act. It's just more
Not a
of
direct malicious intent thought of and sought out by Dave or anybody who owns companies. No, it's not that. But if I owned a fucking construction company and I had a guy who would work for $10 an hour, or a guy who could do just as much work and just as good work for $12 an hour, I'm hiring the guy who's going to do it for 10. Like that's a business decision. Again, it's not a malicious intent where I'm out to get you. It's I'm thinking about this solely in numbers, and in numbers, this decision makes the most sense. So that's the decision I'm going with. That's how I see it.
Okay, I hear you. So not malicious, but at the same time, it's fair to say that it's also it's also irresponsible because you're not. Again, and I know I've already touched on this several times, but I just you cannot come out and say we're going to do this pension thing. Everybody expects it. You cannot come out and say we're going to pay you $1 for every fucking subscriber you get, and then just not do it.
Not do it. Yeah,
At least have like what's the phrase? You know, you don't even have the courtesy to piss on me and call it rain, right? Like you at least should say, you at least should be like, hey, by the way, just to let everybody know, the whole pension thing, it didn't work out like we wanted it to. It fell through, but don't worry, it's not like we fucking taken anybody's money and sat it somewhere. It just didn't work out like we wanted to.
So, and that was the thing that was really funny for me is, so yes, you're absolutely right. We're not taking anybody's money and fucking it off and doing whatever with it. Like it just didn't work out. But here's the thing that really made me laugh, but should have been red flag number one right out the gate, is they never, at no point were we given options or offers to pay in.
It was just automatic.
Right. And what I mean by that is, typically speaking, we'll say like the police force. If you're setting up a pension and you're working for the police force, usually you're allowed to put in up to X amount of percent of your paycheck, each paycheck, and then
it gets matched or whatever it is.
That. Yep. Precisely. We were told that they're going to take a percentage of our purse and put it into our pension. At no point was our purse ever shorted. At no point did they say, no, we're taking this and putting it into your pension. And at no point did they ever say, here's some paperwork for you to fill out so that you could transfer this into your pension. And again, should have been red flag number one. We should have all,
because you would think there would have to be like legal documentation involved.
You would think.
Just to cover everybody's ass. Right?
Right. But again, it was something that just didn't happen. We were so caught up in the idea of somebody potentially taking care of us after we've finished fighting that we forgot to do the groundwork, and that's sign the fucking paperwork to make sure you're taken care of when this actually happens. And again, this goes back to the publicity thing. Like, why would you do all of that talking and all of that speaking and make all of those videos if you weren't going to send out a fucking email? So again, it's like, can you say those things? Yes. Is it shitty for your employees? Yes. But can you really call us employees since we're 1099? No. So, welcome to business, ladies and gentlemen.
Just wow. I
Dude, people are getting so much information on this first show. It's like the first show, and we haven't even really gotten into the meat and potatoes of what goes on with this whole story.
well, I think these are things. Again, these are all questions and concerns that I like. Don't get me wrong. I have thought about these same things for a while. I like, and within certain circles, we talk about it. But it's like I've also seen these concerns and comments, on social media. So again, it's not anything I think that is super new. However, if you are a just extremely casual fan and you don't really kind of hang around the social media areas of bare knuckle, whether it be like the groups or the bare knuckle page or whatever, this could be 100% news to you. Like you might be like, pension, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
So it could be brand new information for a lot of people. It could be.
Well, I hope it is. I hope it sheds some light on some things for people.
Again, I definitely want to go back to this because I do not want it to be misconstrued. I think fair, healthy criticism is it's fair. Like I think healthy criticism is 100% fair.
There's a difference between criticism and constructive criticism.
Right.
And that's precisely what we're offering. Is we're telling you you've got a great product and you've got a great business and we like what we're getting, but
do better.
If you're going to be a company, Dave Feldman, as a human being, if you're going to be a person who preaches, I stand by my word and I do the things that I say I'm going to do, then do this.
And again,
that's it. Just do it.
I think like how much more would it change your opinion? Like, wouldn't it be just a heck of a lot more understanding? I don't think anybody would, have a bad remark if, let's just say, he came out tomorrow and said, hey, you know what, all that stuff with the pension, it was way more complex than we thought it was going to be to do it. I think people would be like, okay, that's understandable. That sounds complex, like to do a fucking pension for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're at the point right now where it's so far, like so in the back of people's minds, so far beyond their
you think people are just in ear, out the other, it's gone. Like you just think it's gone.
So I think if you were to come out and say that, like, that's a great way to save face and just cover your ass. Right? Look, we talked about this. We've been planning it. Financially, it's just not feasible for us to do it right now. But it's something that we like and we want to work into. But as it stands,
down the road, yeah, it's something we want to work towards down the road.
Yeah, and that's cool. Cover your ass and let everybody know what's going on. But don't just, it's no different than the commission for the app. Like, don't just say you're going to do this stuff and then 6 months later when we're all sitting around like, all right, hey, you said you were going to do this, when are you going to do it? And then not fucking do it. Like, like, bro, I'll give you a very personal story. When I started fighting, when I started my MMA career, I started because I told people that I was a fighter, and I told people that this is what I did. And after like 6 months of telling people that this is what I did, they were like, so when are we going to see you fight? Like, when are you going to do this? Like, put your money where your mouth is. Let your actions speak louder than your words. That was the moral argument that I had to have with myself at 18. Now I'm having this moral argument with myself at 18 of like, look, you did this, or you said you were going to do this, so you should probably do this. Like, if I can have that at fucking 18, you can have that at 40. I'm sorry, but like, you've told people you're going to do this. You've got fighters like me who've had 8 fights with your company. You've got other fighters like Reggie who've had like almost 10. And then you've got some fighters who have had, one or two or who are making their debut next week. When does the pension start? Like you say you're going to do this, and everybody who has grown up with any sort of male figure in their life knows that when you say you're going to do something, you should fucking do it. Sure. I know for a fact your father was a fucking promoter, and you were a professional fighter. You said you were going to do this. Are you going to do it? And if not, just say you're not going to do it. Like, just be a man of your word. Like, that's honestly is really all anybody can ask of anybody.
100%.
It's just be a man of your word. If you say you're going to do,
that's it. Just maybe it didn't work. Like I said, maybe it's something as simple as it didn't work out.
It didn't work out. Nobody gives a shit. Like,
right.
Clearly, as somebody who still takes interest in this, I'm not expecting the money. Like, you're not going to break my bank if you tell me it's not coming. Fine, but just say it's not coming. Like, what's the big deal?
It's just like I said. It's just the lack of response is what's concerning. I guess the lack of response,
the lack of accountability, and that, like we talked about previously, comes down to us. Like, it comes down to guys like me and the other fighters, is keeping your employer accountable. And again, this isn't just for fighters. Say you work at a steel mill and they're like, all right, guys, we're going from 12-hour shifts to 15-hour shifts. No. No, I'm not doing that. There are OSHA laws that regulate against that. Like, I can go into any number of statewide business regulations that would prohibit things like that. Like, no, you need pushback. And if you allow your employer to just if you allow your employer to run amok and enforce rules and regulations upon you that are outlandish and crazy, or do and say they're going to do things that they don't do, like, pushback, man.
Right.
We'll send it to the corporate world. How many fucking pizza parties have you guys got after you threw a fit in the office? Well, you probably got that pizza party, so they called me the fuck down and stopped pushing back because you were throwing a fit in the office. Like, throw a few more fits, you might get your way. Anyway, rambling now. So, we got this car in Myrtle Beach.
It's just it's all interesting to me. And I think, again, that side of things is not talked about enough, obviously, because there's such a genuine interest from people.
A lot of us can't.
Right. A lot of people can't. I mean, and think about it this way, right? Like, people are always intrigued by the behind the curtain kind of thing, right? So, whether it be pro wrestling or boxing or MMA, what it could be anything. But like, people like that kind of peek behind the curtain and like, well, wait a minute, we know the stuff they're telling us, but wait a minute.
Right. Yeah. And it goes a long way. And that's one of the beautiful things that I'm hoping will gain an advantage for us in this show, is me being in the position that I'm in. I've got a lot of information that a lot of people don't have. And also me being in the position that I'm in. I don't mind saying shit that I know people are going to be upset about. I've done it before. I'll do it in the past. I've said it privately, and I'll say it publicly. If you offend me, if you have done something that I don't like and my livelihood is staked upon it, I'm going to let it be known, So that is my own personal thing on this whole situation scenario. But yeah, I think a lot of people are, for lack of a better term, and at the risk of being disrespectful, ignorant when it comes to what goes on behind the scenes. And that's just because they're not informed, they're not told, and a lot of people who are in the know aren't allowed to talk about it. I'll be the first to tell you that there are things, literally contractually speaking, that I can't talk about, that I just can't get into. It's in my contract. Can't do it.
Well, do you think
but
too,
other things that I've got no issue talking about that, would upset some people, and whatever, let it be known.
Do you think too, so obviously there's the legal reasons why you can't say certain things, but I think maybe sometimes too, and again, this could literally, and obviously we've already kind of deflected off certain things, but that's all right. That's all right.
Let it run.
Let it run. But like, and this could be a whole another tangent that we can definitely get into another time. But you think sometimes too, I think a lot of the general public, they don't want to know certain things. And I'm talking about we could talk about life, we could talk about politics, we could talk about you can include this in every scenario.
Mhm.
It's like they don't really want to know what's in the sauce.
Yeah.
Does
Oh
that
yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, I mean, you can equate this to any situation and scenario. You know, I mean, you watch your favorite show on TV. You watch it every week. Do you watch the behind the scenes? Do you watch the making of? Do you watch the interviews for the guys before the show and after the show and during the show? You know, it's like there are levels to fandom, and a lot of fans are just basic fans, and they're just there to see the fights. And I get that. I respect that. I'm not here to tell you you're doing something wrong. I don't fucking watch football. I don't watch sports in general. Plain and simple. I don't do it. But that doesn't mean that I'm not gonna go and enjoy a football game. If you invite me to a football game or if you invite me
Sure,
to a basketball game, like I'm gonna go to the game, I'm gonna enjoy the game, it's a cool game. You know, so
sure,
there are levels to fandom.
sure,
And I
sure.
think some fans just don't care, just genuinely aren't interested, don't care, they got more important things to worry about. Cool, so be it. That's awesome. More power to you. Thanks for watching. But then there are other fans who get into this. You know, I mean, you and I started in this as fans. You know, and then your level of fandom gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and you know now you're a sports journalist and I'm a fighter. You know, but the level of fandom and the level of interest has reached certain depths for the both of us. You being the fan that you want to know these details. You want these insider scoops. You want to know what's going on with this person, that person, the history, the lifestyle, the background, all that other stuff. And that's great. There are a lot of people out there like you that want to hear that. There are other fighters out there that want to watch these interviews and want to know what's going on behind the scenes. Want to know if they're the only ones getting fucked in their contracts. They want to know if they're the only ones who get pushed to the sideline until 2 weeks before a fight, or you know whatever. Like there are fighters who want to know these things, and there are levels of understanding and spectrum to understanding and knowledge of this game that you only get if you, depending on how deep you dive into it. So yeah, you just want to watch the fights, and you just want to be a fan, cool. But you want some inside information, you want some in-depth detail on some of the craziness and the shenanigans that goes on behind the scenes. I can give you that. Like, I can give you a good portion and a good chunk of it. You know. So again, I think it's just one of those things that I think will help build our show, and it just really help people to understand the sport a little bit better. Yeah, you
Hmm.
can understand it from a fan's perspective, and you know, just go out there and watch the fight. Cool. But you want to understand the fighters a little better. You want to understand training camps a little better. You want to understand how fighter relationships work and progress or deteriorate.
Really work, not what you read on
Right? Yeah,
MMAfighting.com.
how it really
Really work.
look at the situation that's going on with Francis right now. You know, that's not something that just came up out of nowhere that, you know, just sprouted off and all of a sudden he's upset with his contract. No. That's something that's been going on for months and months, if not years, that they've been in and out of uh, negotiations with, and now it's finally come to a head, and people are understanding. Oh shit! Like this is a thing. It's gotten big, crazy. People are walking away from companies now. Well, why? Well, what happened? This has only been going on for a couple of days. What's the situation? No, this has been going on for months. And in the know, if somebody in the know would have sat down and had a conversation with Ariel Hawani or anybody else in the big MMA podcast game, they'd have a much better understanding of what's going on. But again, some people are scared. Some people are contract, blah, contractually obligated not to talk about it, and some people just don't want to talk about it. So you're going to get a lot of people who just aren't in the know or just don't understand the situation and scenario. Uh, as I've expressed previously, I don't have those worries or concerns. There are things that I won't talk about because I can't, but there are things that I can talk about and that I will because I want to, and because I think it's important that people know. So I'm going to do that. There. I'm sure everybody who's listening, and you including Josh, have heard the phrase. Oftentimes, what's right and what's easy are not the same thing, and it's very easy to just keep your mouth shut and look at the floor and not talk about the things that you want to
And
talk about.
be a good little soldier. Right?
Exactly. Be a good little surgeon. Keep your fucking mouth shut. Shut the fuck up and do what you're told. That's not me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's not me either. Yeah.
And I'm not gonna do that for you. Like, I'll be the first to tell you, Dave Feldman as a human being has done things for me that other human beings and other bosses have never done. And Dave Feldman as a human being, to me, is a very good human being when it comes to personal relationships that I have with the man. But I'll be the first to tell you, if you do something like the pension stuff or like the app commission stuff, you do stuff that upsets me, that affects me financially, fiscally over an extended period of time, and I'm going to let it be known. I'm going to let people know that I'm not happy about that. And if you're upset with that, so be it. Maybe take a look in the mirror and figure out why I'm upset, as opposed to getting upset at the things that I'm saying. Figure out why it is I'm saying these things. That's my stance and that's my perspective on the situation. Is what's right and what's easy are often not the same thing. And I have no problem preaching what's right if it gets me in a dramatic amount of trouble. And it could. And I'm cool with it. I accept the repercussions of it. A lot of people aren't there. A lot of people, they've got too much to lose. I'll figure it out.
Just to kind of wrap this up, guys, if you're obviously if you're liking what you're hearing, please hit the like, subscribe button.
Fit to just fight stuff, guys. Like, if you want to know what suit I'm wearing, if you want to know what book I'm reading, if you want to know what whiskey I'm drinking or weed and nicotine I'm smoking, just ask, just reach out. These are things that we want to talk about. As I'm sure you figured out throughout this video, we don't just stick to fight stuff. We're predominantly fight orientated, but if you guys want to talk about random shenanigans, let us know.
We are gentlemen and we are thinkers.
True story.
So we do tend to go off on tangents, but that's okay. That's what we do. That's real life.
Right.
It's real life right there. But guys, once again, like I said, we really do appreciate you. If you tuned in thus far, if you're still here with us, God bless you. And we appreciate you for sticking along for the ride. And again, like you said, just please tell us what you want to hear. If you want to hear a show on a specific topic, do not be afraid. I mean it. It's completely open forum discussion.
Yeah.
We want to hear it. We want to see it. We want to see your feedback, because otherwise, how are we going to grow? We give feedback on. Yeah. I mean, we give feedback on what we think. Give feedback on us. Maybe it's like, hey, don't do this again. Don't talk about that again. Great.
Cool. Yeah.
We may not listen to you, but we want to see it. We want to see it. We want to read it.
We're gentlemen, and part of being a gentleman is listening to the opinions of others, whether you agree with them or not. So give us your opinion. Let us know how you feel. If you tell me I'm a piece of shit, I may not believe you, but at least I'll accept it. And if you got great whiskey, well, shit, tell me about it. I may not accept it, but I'll try it.
He'll try it, and we'll try it. And I guess just to kind of wrap this whole thing up, of course, that is the Gentleman of Violence. It's Mr. Tom Shoaff. I'm Joshua Fers. Until then, we'll see you next time.
Absolutely.